gonna be a different year. This is not the place for fear. I've got a job to do.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Friday, December 11th, 2020, and it is the official last day of Unit 1. Today on our virtual class, we went over the Unit 1 test on the literary elements. So we are now officially wrapped up with Unit 1. There are no new assignments, as you can see on the screen behind me. We have no new assignments for today. So if you have all of your work done, you guys can take the weekend off. Unit 2 will officially begin after Christmas vacation. Although next week we're going to be doing some pre-tests or some pre-quizzes to just assess where you guys are at with your ability to read informational texts and respond to questions. So here, if you look at the agenda for the week, you will see that today we went over our Unit 1 test. Now, I will go over that test here on the video. I'll read through each question and I will let you know what the answers are for each. However, that means that from this point forward, I will not be able to accept any new responses for the test. The test was officially due yesterday, and so hopefully you guys have all gotten your test in by now. If I go here to our Google Classroom, I can pull up the Literary Elements test. And here behind me, you guys can see the word bank. There are 21 words in the word bank, and all of the words were used except for the word symbol. And again, as I present this video, I am assuming that everybody that intends to hand in the test has handed in the test, since this was assigned on Monday. And you guys had Monday and Tuesday to do the test. Really, you also had Wednesday to do the test. And then on Thursday, we planned to do some test corrections. Although we weren't able to do that because just the way that the Google Forms work, we ended up playing a game in class on Thursday, and I allowed an additional day for students to take their tests. So altogether, everybody had the entire week to take their exam. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and read through these questions and let you guys just at least hear what the answers are. So question number 1 was, the blank is the most exciting point in the story. The correct answer to this is the climax is the most exciting part of the story. And we learned about the climax when we learned about plot. We did our plot ladders and we did our plot lines. Question 2 asks, the time and place of a literary work is called the blank. The correct answer for this is setting. The time and place of a literary work is called the setting. This came straight out of your notebook. The proper answer to number 3, blank, is the struggle between opposing forces or characters. The correct answer is conflict. We learned about the 2 different categories of conflict, internal and external, and then we learned about the 4 different types. But at the heart of it, we learned that what is conflict? It's a struggle between opposing forces. These were all right out of your notebook. If your notebook was done well and you stayed up and current on your notebook, most of you had no problems with this exam. Number 4 says the blank is the largest part of the plot, where the protagonist faces obstacles and challenges. The correct answer here is this is the rising action. And again, we covered this when we learned about our plot ladders. We learned about all the different stages of plot. And then we also saw this when we did our plot lines. Question 5 asks, the blank is all the events after the climax where conflicts start to get resolved. This is the falling action. So it's the part right after the climax. We start to have our falling action where conflicts start to get resolved before the final stage of resolution. Question 6 reads this way. A writer's feelings towards a subject is called the blank. And the correct answer here is tone. Now, we did tone and mood together, and we learned that tone is the writer's feelings towards a subject, and we learned that the mood was the mood created from the author's tone. All right, which is right here in number 7. We learned the blank is influenced by the setting, and it's the feeling created by a work of literature. This is the mood. The feeling that you get as the reader, that's the mood, and you as the reader, you control the mood. The writer controls the tone. Question 8 asks, the blank is the central message or lesson or moral of the story. This one was taken word for word right out of your notebook, and the answer is theme. Theme is a challenging concept to fully understand, and you're going to continue to work on theme throughout your education. But this year in 6th grade, we did learn that the theme is like the message or the lesson in the story. Question 9 says, A/an is a reference made to something well known that is not directly mentioned. This was one of the more challenging questions because we covered it way back in September, and we didn't spend a lot of time talking about this, but it was right in your notebook, and the correct answer is an allusion. We saw a lot of this in Freak the Mighty, where Kevin makes references to the legend of King Arthur, like calling his mom the Fair Gwen, or taking Max on quests. These were all allusions to the legend of King Arthur. Question 10 asks you, blank is the repetition of initial sounds in closely related words. The correct answer there is alliteration. That's where you repeat the same beginning sound. Question 11 is another question about figurative language. Blank is the use of sound words like crash, bang, and boom. And we learned that this one's called onomatopoeia. Question 12 says, the blank is the main character in a literary work. Now, we learned this. There's 2 different pages where we talked about this. One was where we learned about our plot ladder, and we learned that the correct answer here is the protagonist. This is the main character in a literary work. But we also learned about this very recently when we did pages 24 and page 25 in your notebook. We were talking about the different types of characters. And so we once again reinforced this idea that the protagonist, that's the name of the main character or main characters. So in Freak the Mighty, our protagonists were Max and Kevin. Question 13 says, the blank is the sequence in a literary work, book, movie, or play. The sequence is simply called plot. We spent a week on plot where you guys learned all the different names of the stages. That was on your plot ladder. And then we also looked at how it unfolds in a plot line. 14 reads, blank is a type of figurative language where human characteristics are given to animals or non-living objects. Now, in this question, it comes right out and it asks you, it's a type, or at least it tells you, it's a type of figurative language. So automatically, I know I need to go to that page in my notes, and I know that that's page 5. Again, we did it way back in September, but the correct answer to number 14, this is personification. That is when we give personal or human characteristics to non-living objects. Question 15 reads, a blank is a type of figurative language that makes a direct comparison between 2 things. Once again, this question uses the words figurative language, so I know to stay right on page 5, and all I need to do is read through my definitions and figure out which one of those figurative languages is a direct comparison. Proper answer here, this one is a metaphor. Question 16, once again, staying with the different types of figurative language, it reads, a blank is a type of figurative language that makes a comparison between 2 things using the words like or as. So just like number 15, a metaphor makes a direct comparison, Question 16 asks you about what comparison uses like and as, and the correct answer here is simile. So similes are the ones that use like or as. Question 17 reads, blank point of view is when the story is being told by a character in the story. So right here, we know that this question is asking about point of view. We have a page in our notebook which is all about point of view, so I'd open up right to that page in my notebook and I would try to determine which one of those points of views is told by a character in the story. Like Freak the Mighty, where Max was our narrator. And the correct answer here is first person. That is when the character is in the story. Question 18 asks, blank point of view is when the narrator is an outside observer that knows the thoughts and the feelings of all characters. Now, this one asks you about point of view once again, so we have to just stay on this page. And now, there are 3 different types of third-person points of view. So you have to read your notes carefully, and you have to pick the one that is the point of view where the narrator knows the thoughts and feelings of all characters. And we learned that this word omniscient means all-knowing. So the proper answer to 18 is third-person omniscient. And in fact, if you go all the way back up to your word bank, you notice that third-person omniscient, that's your only choice, even for third person. Everybody needed to make sure they were really utilizing their word bank. On some of the tests, people put words down for answers that were not even options. So they picked things that were not in the word bank. So it's just really important that you guys are always following the directions using your word bank, because as soon as you knew that it was third person, if you looked at your word bank, you would know that the only option was this one right here, third person omniscient. All right, let's finish up our last 2 questions. Question 19 says, the blank is the person in conflict with the main character. We learned about this definition on 2 different days. The first day we learned about it where we were learning about the plot, and we were talking about our plot ladder, and we learned about this type of character. And then we learned about it again just recently when we were discussing the types of characters. The proper answer for 19 is the antagonist. The antagonist is the person that's in conflict with the protagonist, which is the main character. The last question reads, the blank is the last part of the story where conflicts and situations get resolved. Resolved here, it's kind of a key term, resolved. The answer for this one is the resolution. You could have gone back to your plot ladder or your plot line in order to answer this question. So today in class, this is what we did. We did it as a whole group. We did it as a whole group discussion. Here in the video, I just did it where I was reading the answers to you guys. So you at least know the answers. You know, if you made a mistake, you know where your mistakes had occurred. So ladies and gentlemen, on Monday next week, we will jump into those pre-tests for Unit 2, where we're going to have you reading some informational articles and responding to some questions there. So now I'm going to say goodbye. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy. It's a beautiful day out there today. Hopefully we have some good weather over the weekend, and I'll see you guys again back here on Monday. Bye.